US President Donald Trump is scheduled for many of these meetings. Today, he is going to be meeting Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, and as well on early next week, he's meeting Benjamin Netanyahu to understand the US engagement in Middle Eastern issues. I mean, I understand it's the end of the year, and all of these issues do require some kind of footnote before we can progress onto a more steadier 2026. This year has shown the entire globe and the entire humanity that war is one of the most profitable businesses out there. And I say this with notice to that because conditions of war, of course, take many livelihoods of many nations and, of course, various cultural backgrounds. I want to come to Norman Floyd Barnes. I want your take on how you see United States politics and how it is dealing with the entire worldly issues that it contributes to. Mr. Norman Floyd Barnes.
Yes, good morning from Washington. Today is Sunday here, and Monday we look forward to some type of answers as Mr. Trump and the president of Ukraine have a discussion about the movement in terms of the war. Right now, we're looking at setting up a framework, the United States government, on what agenda, what issues we're going to address coming into the 2026. This year is pretty much has been it's finished. Not much is going to happen. We are still dealing with the issue with how we're going to address the government, how we're going to address the U.S. involvement in Venezuela. And as you know, on Christmas Day, we had a attack on the terrorist group ISIS in the country of Nigeria. So we must look at these issues and see exactly which way we're going. We're going to a more aggressive way in terms of our global response to issues of terrorism, issues of drugs, issues of crime, and the most important, how do we deal with war? Ukraine and Russia, hopefully we will have some type of answers before the end of this year regarding what path are we going to take with that. And also the same thing with Gaza and Israel. We have to come to some type of framework on how we're going to address it going into 2026. I do not believe that we're going to have the same situation in 2026 as we had in 2025 in regarding to the United States global footprint. You will see a more focused approach to doing things globally. There'll be more decisiveness in terms of our government response to different things. And this back and forth, hot and cold situation, I think it's going to end, and we'll see a more planned approach to different things and more responsibility being shifted to Europe and other places on dealing with their issues, and the United States is going to take a different approach to dealing with global issues.
There has been an intense global response in this manner. I would want to bring out how China has reacted. China's permanent representative at the United Nations criticized the U.S. military buildup near Venezuela and warned it threatens peace and regional stability, accusing Washington of violating international law and the UN Charter. This would be the first, as China, being so far away from that very continent, is providing comment on this factor, mainly because there is huge trade between the two nations. We understand that Venezuela's second most trading partner, or if not the first, would also include China, if not Russia. I want to come to Norman Floyd Barnes in Washington, D.C. I know these countries are, of course, blaming the United States for these activities that they've conducted in the Caribbean Sea. But how far or so do general American people realize that this is an act of war and it's going to continue far longer than the tenure of U.S. President Donald Trump? I want to understand how you felt, given that you are positioned in Washington, D.C.
Thank you for the question. This question requires a bit of forecasting. Right now, we're trying to figure out exactly what is the Trump administration agenda. What is their plan? At the same time, we realize that we are now our military is now being utilized by the Trump administration to go after countries which the country has, the United States feel that they have interests. Basically, trade, commerce, the topic of oil. Countries, most of these countries, matter of fact, all these countries that we had chosen to submit our military to, uh, has a focus on oil. Even Nigeria, they have an oil reserve. Venezuela has oil. The other countries has interest. So right now, we're trying to figure out exactly which approach this administration is going to take regarding dealing with global issues. At the same time, we have issues in the United States that is coming up for 2026. The prices of everything is rising. Healthcare is rising. Small businesses are now going without insurance because it's beyond their cost. They can't afford it. So right now, we are trying to figure out exactly what is going on with the Trump administration and what is their plan. What is their long-term plan or making America great again? And what does that really mean?
We know that Thailand and Cambodia has shared hostilities for the last 3 weeks, and after a weeks of clashes along the border, Thailand and Cambodia agreed on a ceasefire starting late December 27th, yesterday. Of course, the fighting had killed dozens and displaced hundreds of thousands. The ceasefire is now monitoring underway. This is, of course, a neighboring country to Myanmar. Of course, these are the nations that build up the global south, if you would call it, if not Southeast Asia, and they all are contributing to the global markets from RMG to various sectors that they contribute to. We also know for a reason that Thailand is a tourist hotspot for all those who reside in Asia. So getting into a conflict with a neighbor and of course tarnishing the image of the country is of course of utmost importance. I want to come to Norman Floyd Barnes. You see, we're talking about South Asia and how these elections, if not these wars or conflicts between minute issues, are causing entire economies and entire communities to be displaced internally. This is a huge scale issue that I want to bring out. I want to understand how you felt about this matter.
Yes, it's quite ironic we're talking about Thailand and Myanmar and the whole region of South Asia. Actually, my son and his wife is planning a trip. Actually, they already scheduled to go to Thailand mid January. So hopefully this conflict will be resolved by then. It is a tourist destination. Matter of fact, that whole belt, that whole region is slated for tourism. Uh, I think that the core issues has not been addressed. They keep having these flare-ups because they have not been able to communicate exactly what they want to do and how they want to deal with it. So we have these skirmishes which are going to continue to go on back and forth across the border until they decide to sit down and resolve it. China is support, yes, of the countries in the South, or I call the South Asian region. The United States approach to this is now we're going to let these small countries, these other countries, deal with their own issues. We'll act as a mediator, but not like as Sir John Dalton said. We're not going to no longer be the enforcer, the global police, and Big Brother put everything together. Yeah, we'll bring you together, but you're going to have to sometimes sit down and work these things out. If not, you're going to keep seeing these skirmishes, these battles, these back and forth cross border type situation continue into 2026, 2027. So the results of that will be an economic disaster because if you're fighting, no one's going to come to your region. If you want to do tourism, how are you going to guarantee safety for your people and economic empowerment? So they have to come to a reason because they can't survive fighting each other. That is not the solution. It's not the answer. So we're seeing these off and on. I'm fighting you today, tomorrow. Well, let's talk about it and calm down, and then something else happen again. They have to come to a conclusion because the whole region of South Asia is going to be affected by what's going on. And Bangladesh has an election coming up hopefully in February. That's going to shape how things are positioned, what approach is going to happen. How do we get along with the rest of our neighbors, countries next to us, close in the region? They have to really decide on which approaches they're going to take because everything now affects the next thing. It's a regional issue. It's not just a country by country issue. Thank you.